Shalom Aleichem. Mishnah Yomi is continuing for Aleph Iyar Shabbat Tazria Metzora. We are in chapter 9 of Pesachim at Mishnah number 8. We've been learning about Pesach Sheni and then on to some issues that can happen if the wrong animal gets designated as a Pesach and the like. So Mishnah 8 continues, but a carbonic problem with the Pesach. A Pesach shouldn't arv bizvachim. A Pesach was mixed in with other offerings. Now, these are other offerings that do not have the same sacrificial service. The Bartner gives an example. There was a Pesach and an Ola and an Asham, and they all got mixed up, and you don't know which animal belongs to which carbon, which animal is designated for which specific carbon. So the outcome here, similar to what we saw yesterday, is Kulan, Yiru Achistavu. They all have to go out to pasture until they get a blemish, a mum, in which case they're no longer fit to be an offering. And then you sell all of them. And you bring from the value of the biggest, most valuable animal for offering A, and the same value for offering B, and for C, it's implied, and the extra money he loses from his own house. So what's going on here is you don't know if the most expensive animal was the Asham or the Ola or the Pesach. So really, you'd be cheating the temple, in a sense, if you gave them a smaller animal than what you originally designated. So once all three animals, or however many there are, get a mum and are sold, so you have to estimate, or really you're selling, so you know how much it's worth, the biggest animal, and we assume that biggest animal might have been any of these offerings, so we have to buy all of those offerings for the value of that animal. So the extra money, because the other animals are not as valuable, the extra money he has to bring from his own house, he loses out because he has to add on, because now he has to upgrade all of the offerings to the size and price of the biggest one. Now, this brings a variation at the end here. Nit arv b'bechorot. What if they were mixed with a bechor? Now, a bechor is interesting. A bechor is a firstborn animal, and as long as it does not have a blemish, it has sanctity as an offering. It must be brought to the temple and given to the Kohanim, the firstborn animals. But the service, at least the blood service, the zrika of dam on the corner of the altar, that's the same whether it's a bechor or a Pesach. And we actually have a chapter in Shacharit, in the morning prayers. There's a introductory chapter before, the warm-up for the prayers about the offerings, and they list the Pesach together with the Bechor, and it actually mentions how their blood service is the same. The Zrika Dam is the same. So in this case, Rabbi Shimon Omer, Im Chabot Kohanim Yochelu. If everyone in the group is a Kohen, it's a group of Kohanim to eat this carbon Pesach, and their Pesach got mixed up with a Bechor. You can understand it. It happens sometimes. Somebody brought a Bechor, gave it to these Kohanim to bring as a carbon, and the Kohanim are going to eat this Bechor, and they're also going to eat this Pesach, and now they don't know which animal is which. So really what they do is they bring both of them, and they make a stipulation. If this one's, and they eat both of them. At their Pesach Seder, they say, listen, if this one's the Pesach, then I'm eating Pesach. If this one's Bechor, I'm eating Bechor. If they're Kohanim, they're allowed to eat both. And since the Zurikat the Dam, the blood applications on the Mizbeach are the same, it's okay according to Rabbi Shimon. Bartner points out the halacha is not like Rabbi Shimon. The issue here is a Bechor can be eaten for a longer period of time than a Pesach. So the other sages would argue against that. Now we're on to Mishnah Tet. Mishnah Tet is a long one. There are different scenarios here. Chabura sha'avod pischa, a group of people, and they lost their Pesach. The little lamb wandered off. Amar le'echa, they told one guy from the group, Tseyu vokesh shot olenu, go out and find it and slaughter it for us. V'halach, and he went out, and matzah, and he found the v'shachat, and l'maisa, he found the original carbon Pesach that wandered off. But the other guys were getting nervous at the same time. V'hem lachu v'shachtu, so they got a new carbon Pesach, the other guys in the group, and they went ahead and shechted it for their carbon Pesach. So here's what happens. Im shelo nishchat rishon, if the one agent that they sent out to find the lost one, if his was first, hu ochel meshalo, so he eats from that one. Hem ochlin imo mishalo, and they also eat from his offering, the one that was lost and found, because they had made him an agent to find it and slaughter it on their behalf. If the first Pesach slaughtered was the one they got as a replacement, hem ochli mishalahem, the other guys eat that one, and he eats the original carbon Pesach that was lost and found. If we don't know, they were in the same group. Remember, there were 3 groups to slaughter carbon Pesach, and they were, there were a lot of slaughtering going on, a lot of shechita simultaneously. a lot of kohanim, a lot of knives, a lot of paschal lambs going on. So we don't know which one was first. Or it was mamish at the same time. Hu ochel mishalo, he eats his, the lost and found one. Hem einam ochlin imo. They don't eat it. Shalahen yetzei lebeit sreifa. So that one has to be burnt. It can't be eaten, that replacement one. But they're putter because Lamaisa, they did have a carbon Pesach slaughtered on their behalf. They had made this one man an agent to find and slaughter the carbon Pesach for them. But they can't eat it. It has to be burned because Lamaisa, if theirs went first, the replacement one was slaughtered first, that was their real carbon Pesach. But they don't know if that was the real carbon Pesach or not, so they cannot eat it. Now the Mishnah brings a second case related to the first, Amr Lehen. If the one guy said to the other guys, Imecharti, if I'm running late, he's running after the lost lamb, remember? So go out and get a new carbon Pesach and have me in mind for that new one. But the first guy, he went, he found the lamb, he found the original, and he slaughtered that one. But they were getting worried. They thought he was running late. He didn't think he was running late. It sounds like a Moshe Rabbeinu coming down from the mountain kind of scenario. You know, he's like, oh yeah, I got this one pretty fast. And they're thinking, uh-oh, he's running late. So if the one from the group, the replacement, was slaughtered first, hen ochlin mishal hen. So they eat that one, hu ochel imahem, and he eats with them. Because here, the one man who's going out looking for the lost lamb is making everyone else an agent, if he's running late, to slaughter on his behalf a new replacement lamb. Im shalom nishal rishon, if the lost and found lamb was first, hu ochel mishalo, he eats that one, hen ochlin mishal hen, and they eat the replacement one. Like we explained, you don't know which one was actually first. It was at the same time. So they eat the replacement one. But he can't eat with them because he slaughtered the original, the lost and found lamb. And he doesn't know if his was first. And if his was first, he's unable to withdraw from that one and then re-register on the replacement with everyone else. So then it would have to be burned and not eaten. But he's pater for bringing a second Pesach. So it's an ironic case where he's sitting around the Pesach Seder. He can't actually eat the carbon Pesach everyone else is eating, but he does not have to bring a Pesach Sheni. So the Mishnah brings a last case, Amr Lahen, the Amr Lo. So now the one man who's going out to chase the lost Pesach says to them, the rest of the group, for Amr Lo, and they say to him. So both groups are making a stipulation back and forth. So they're basically saying, if you get the lost carbon Pesach first, we're with you. And he's saying, well, if I'm late and you guys go ahead and get a replacement, I'm with you. So they both stipulated. So ochlin kulam min harishon. So everyone eats from the first carbon Pesach to be offered. Obviously, this is a case where he had turned his cell phone off because it's so busy, Erev Yontiv, so they couldn't call him to say, hey, we got a new carbon Pesach, you in? So they both thought they had the real carbon Pesach. But the Mishnah concludes, if they don't know which one's mamish the first animal, both of them cannot be eaten, must go out and be burnt with pasul kodshim, lo amar lahen, lo amar lo. And finally, if no one said anything to anybody, they were just going ahead and doing it. You know, one guy's chasing after the Korban Pesach, and the other guys are kind of sitting tight and then getting nervous, then buying another replacement. So it's kind of like they split up. There's an implied sort of split up where one guy goes and chases after the lost lamb and finds it and does his own thing, and the other guys replace it and they do their own thing.